The Honda CB750 nearly put Harley-Davidson out of business. Serious business. But one decision by a sitting president would change the landscape forever. Harley-Davidson had been the king of motorcycles forever, selling thousands and thousands of motorcycles all over the world, especially post-World War II. But its popularity, ironically, along with increased competition from foreign motorcycles, will put all of that in jeopardy. Get into it in just a bit. I need to make a run real quick. Hold on. Harley-Davidson had been the king of motorcycles forever. From its inception, they dominated the motorcycle scene and sales for decades, especially post-World War II. Thousands of Harleys were being sold all over America, but its popularity, along with increased competition from foreign motorcycles, would start leading to its downfall. So how did we get here? Well, you had a couple of things that started to snowball this process. You had the outdated manufacturing processes that Harley was going through at the time. Then you had the reliability problems. You also had the outlaw biker problem and the price issue. So let's get into it real quick. Outdated production techniques. Outdated production techniques. Outdated production techniques. Harley-Davidson's manufacturing processes were becoming so outdated compared to more modern production techniques employed by its competitors. Therefore, it left Harley trying to keep up with really not having the ability to do so. Other companies had more modern production techniques. Meanwhile, Harley's manufacturing was kind of looking like this. Yeah, because of this resulted in inefficiencies and cost the motor company a ton of money over time. Therefore, they decided to sell the company to American Machine and Foundry Company in 1969, best known as the AMF. It was a diverse manufacturer established around the 1900s, but it initially focused on producing industrial machinery and expanded into various fields over the decades. When they took on Harley, they started doing a whole bunch of weird stuff, like making snowmobiles and all other kind of stuff that just wasn't with the Harley brand. The AMF increased production, but it actually hurt the motor company because the quality control didn't increase in the same manner, and it resulted in questionable reliability. These bikes still weren't cheap, and this led to an overall decline in sales. So while this was happening, other competitors like Kawasaki, Yamaha, and Honda stepped in and were producing bikes that were lighter and more advanced and faster. But it was in 1969, the very same year that Harley sold to the AMF, that one of the most kick-ass bikes was ever released, and that was the Honda CB750. So what made this bike special? Well, I'm gonna just go ahead and let them tell you.
In the late 60s, you basically had three choices as a biker. Compact, fizzy little bikes from Japan, big bad boys from Milwaukee, or really temperamental twins from Britain. Then came the Honda CB750. It was a technological tour de force with a front disc brake and a powerful 68 horsepower four-cylinder engine that topped out at 125 miles an hour, and it could do that over and over and over again. It's the same basic engine configuration that dominates the market today. In fact, the market was never the same again after the CB750. The Honda had a disc brake, electric start, and a 5-speed box with left side shift, which were all really popular with US customers. And it cost a whole lot less.
The bike had innovative engineering, had an inline-4 engine, which was the first for a mass-produced motorcycle, electric and kickstart, and it just provided for a very, very powerful ride. The CB750 was versatile. It was suitable for commuting, touring, and even racing with up to 120 miles per hour top speed. And this was only available in much more expensive motorcycles. And because of this power and the speed that the Honda produced, it was labeled as the world's first superbike. The CB750 was also priced super competitively, making high performance and innovative engineering accessible to everybody who wanted a motorcycle. Honda's engineering team ensured that the CB750 was reliable and easy to maintain, which was not always the case with high-performing bikes at this time. Rumor has it that Honda let this motor run for over 400 hours straight with the throttle wide open, and you can still balance a coin on both motors. Rumor has it that Honda ran this motor for 400 hours with the throttle wide open, and you can still balance a coin on that motor after it was done. So at this point, many Harley riders had become frustrated with their bikes breaking down, and many times they found themselves stuck on the side of the road, fixing on them and troubleshooting these bikes. This was a badge of honor to some, but for others it kind of ticked them off. I mean, like, who wants to be on the side of the road on a nice sunny day with oil all over you? I mean, like, seriously, like, who wants that? Well, there was a group of bikers that embraced it, and that was the hardcore bikers demographic. With the rise of the outlaw biker culture, particularly in the United States, it placed a strong emphasis on patriotism and American identity, which caused them to largely ignore the problems with Harley-Davidsons at the time, being that it was an American manufacturer. Many of these clubs developed a reputation for being lawless individuals, living on the fringes of society and leaning into being societal outcasts. The presence of these bikers may have intimidated some people, and Honda totally took advantage of it. And this led to You Meet the Nicest People on the Honda campaign, which was a groundbreaking advertising strategy introduced by Honda of America in the early 1960s. This campaign played a major part in the public perception of motorcycles and motorcyclists in the United States. Before this campaign, motorcycles were often associated with rebellious and rough characters, largely due to their portrayal in motorcycles in movies. This campaign aimed to shift this stereotype and made motorcycling an acceptable and even desirable mode of transportation for students, professionals, and families all around the United States.
Ways of covering ground. You can be conventional and use four wheels. There's nothing wrong with this. You'll have lots of company. Or you can relive palmier days, like this. Only a good horse is hard to find. On the other hand, you may prefer the simplicity of two wheels. Of course, you put more in than you get out. But by replacing muscle power with horsepower, you can ride a Honda, conserve your energy, and enjoy the fun, freedom, and economy of two wheels. A Honda is easy to ride. Even your brother-in-law can master it in minutes. And as for economy, a Honda never gulps gas, just sips it 200 miles to the gallon. And a Honda costs less to own than a good set of golf clubs. It can hold 45 miles an hour all day without complaining. The engine practically takes care of itself. That's an automatic clutch and 3-speed shift he's using. Foolproof and simple. And as for safety, with Honda's cam-type brakes on both wheels, you stop on a dime. You'll have a lot of fun riding a Honda. Of course, if you must have four wheels, how about another Honda?
These advertisements featured friendly, well-dressed people, including young women and families riding Honda motorcycles. The message was very, very clear. Riding a motorcycle was a fun, safe, and respectable activity, and the approach not only expanded Honda's market, but it also helped popularize motorcycles in a broader audience. By this time, Honda had emerged as the dominant brand in the motorcycle industry during the 1970s, and by the mid-1970s, Honda's market share in the US was about 40 to 50%, which is simply unheard of. Harley was literally on life support. I mean, it was like,
you hear that, Elizabeth? I'm coming to join you, honey.
Their products had become inferior, and they were not reliable, and they had lost market share in the industry which they once dominated. It was literally over for the motor company. But two pivotal things happened that would change the trajectory of the motor company for a long time. The first thing was the buyback. One of the first things that happened in 1981 was a group of 13 executives, along with Willie G. Davidson, a descendant of one of the original founders of Harley-Davidson, they led a group to buy the company back from the AMF once the AMF had put it up for sale. This move was crucial, and one of the first things they did was to focus on building great bikes and quality control. The second thing, and probably one of the most important things that happened, was a call. And not just any call, it was a call to the freaking president. The president. Well, maybe not a call to the president, but Harley-Davidson lobbied the United States government against foreign competition in the 1980s because they were getting their butts kicked. Harley-Davidson was trying to get things back in order, but they needed some time due to the competition from Japanese motorcycle manufacturers, which were producing high quality bikes at way lower prices. Because of Harley-Davidson's lobbying efforts, the United States International Trade Commission recommended that in 1983 that tariffs be put on large displacement Japanese motorcycles over 700 cc's be increased. And if you don't know what that means, is that a tax will be increased on all foreign bikes over 700 cc's, which was a direct aim at the CB750. President Ronald Reagan took this recommendation, imposing a steep tariff on imported motorcycles to give Harley-Davidson time to restructure and become much more competitive. Now, because of this and the focus on building great bikes, improving the quality and reliability of those bikes, it forced them to create one of the best and most reliable motors ever, the Evolution motor, or simply called the Evo. The Evo shined with its durability, improved performance, and it was easy to work on, amongst other things. So with the buyback, the Evo, the tariffs on Honda, Kawasaki, and Yamaha, this allowed Harley-Davidson to dig itself up out of the hole, create a more streamlined production process, and get back in the good graces of its, customer base. But it also allowed Harley to create iconic bikes during this time, like the Sturgis, the Wide Glide, the Tourer Glide, the Electric Glide, and more. These bikes have become wildly popular, and Harley regained the lead in the United States market share for years to come. Competition is always good. Choice is always good. I mean, what's Coke without Pepsi? What's Pizza Hut without Domino's? And what's McDonald's without Burger King? The competition ensures that we get the best products, and without it, us, the consumer, suffers. And we should always be put first. And if you enjoyed this video, watch another one of my videos right here. And this is your man GQ, the leader of the Peace Army, telling you guys be safe, be cool, and most importantly, be you, and peace out until we meet again.